Nestled on the edge of Europe, Britain's tale is one of unlikely grandeur. A small island, frequently buffeted by winds from the Atlantic, rose from humble beginnings to command a global empire. From its ancient Celtic heart to the Roman legions who briefly held sway, Britain's early chapters were turbulent. The arrival of Germanic tribes, followed by the profound influence of Christianity, further shaped the nascent nation. The Norman conquest in 1066 serves as a pivotal turning point, shattering the old order and ushering in a new era. William the Conqueror's triumph at the Battle of Hastings brought about profound social, political, and linguistic changes. Norman French mingled with Old English, giving birth to the language we recognize today. This period saw the construction of magnificent castles and cathedrals, enduring symbols of Norman authority. The seeds of empire were sown early on. The conquest of Wales and the ongoing struggle for control of Ireland foreshadowed Britain's later expansionist ambitions. The Hundred Years' War, a protracted conflict with France, further solidified England's sense of national identity. The Age of Exploration saw English explorers venturing into uncharted waters. Navigators like Sir Francis Drake circumnavigated the globe, establishing trade routes and laying claim to distant lands. The establishment of the English East India Company in 1600 marked a turning point in British history. This powerful trading enterprise gradually gained control over vast swathes of India, setting the stage for Britain's dominance in the subcontinent. The Industrial Revolution cemented Britain's position as a global superpower. Fueled by coal and steam, factories sprang up, churning out textiles, iron, and other goods. The invention of groundbreaking technologies revolutionized production and propelled Britain into a new era of prosperity. Cities swelled as people migrated from rural areas in search of work, leading to unprecedented urbanization. The British Empire expanded rapidly, encompassing vast territories across the globe. From the Americas to Africa, Asia, and Australia, the Union Jack flew over a quarter of the world's landmass. This period of unparalleled expansion brought immense wealth, but also the shadow of exploitation. Understanding this intricate tapestry of triumph and tragedy is crucial to grappling with Britain's role in shaping the modern world. Long before the Union Jack flew across the globe, the land we now call Britain was a tapestry of Celtic cultures. The Britons inhabited a land dotted with mystical stone circles like Stonehenge. The arrival of the Romans in 43 AD marked a significant turning point. Roman military might ultimately prevailed, and for centuries Britain became a province of Rome. Roman roads, baths, and villas left an enduring mark, laying the groundwork for future development. As the Roman Empire crumbled in the 5th century AD, its legions withdrew from Britain. This withdrawal ushered in a period of instability and invasion by Germanic tribes. The Anglo-Saxon period saw the emergence of a new cultural landscape shaping the identity of England. The year 1066 is etched into the annals of English history, marking a seismic shift in the nation's trajectory. The Norman conquest, spearheaded by William the Conqueror, irrevocably altered the course of English history. William crossed the English Channel with a formidable Norman army, clashing with the forces of the English king, Harold Godwinson, at the Battle of Hastings. This bloody and decisive battle ended in Anglo-Saxon defeat and the death of Harold. Norman French became the language of the court and the elite, gradually fusing with Old English. Norman legal and administrative systems were imposed, reshaping English governance. The construction of imposing castles dotted the landscape, serving as reminders of the new power structure. The Norman conquest had a deep and lasting impact on English society, leading to a period of relative stability and unity. The decades following the Norman conquest were a time of consolidation and expansion. Under the reign of Henry II, England entered a new era of power and influence. Henry's marriage to Eleanor of Aquitaine brought vast territories in France under his control, creating the Angevin Empire. Henry's conflict with Thomas Becket highlighted the growing tensions between the Crown and the Church. Becket's murder sent shockwaves through Europe, damaging Henry's reputation. The signing of the Magna Carta in 1215 established the principle that even the king was subject to the law. The Magna Carta served as a powerful symbol of liberty and a cornerstone of English common law. The 14th century marked a turning point in English history with the outbreak of the 100 Years' War. This war, spanning generations, was a complex tapestry of military campaigns, political intrigue, and economic rivalry. The roots of the conflict lay in disputed claims to the French throne. The war began in earnest in 1337, ignited by Edward III's assertion of his claim to the French crown. English victories at Crécy and Agincourt fueled ambitions, but the tide turned with French forces inspired by Joan of Arc. By the war's end in 1453, England had lost most of its continental possessions. The 100 Years' War fostered a sense of national unity and pride. It also saw the emergence of English as a distinct language, replacing French in government and literature. The end of the 100 Years' War coincided with the Wars of the Roses, a dynastic struggle for the throne. Henry Tudor's victory at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485 marked the beginning of the Tudor dynasty. Henry VII restored stability to the realm, strengthening the monarchy. Henry VIII initiated the English Reformation, breaking with the Roman Catholic Church. This event reshaped the religious landscape of England. Henry VIII's reign saw the continued growth of English naval power. His daughter, Elizabeth I, oversaw a period of exploration, cultural flourishing, and the defeat of the Spanish Armada. And the 18th century ushered in the Industrial Revolution, transforming Britain from an agrarian society into an industrial powerhouse. The textile industry underwent a dramatic transformation with the invention of machines like the spinning jenny and the power loom. The steam engine, improved by James Watt, revolutionized production and transportation. These technological advancements were fueled by Britain's abundant natural resources and growing population. The stage was set for unprecedented economic growth and social upheaval. The steam engine became the beating heart of the Industrial Revolution. Britain's industrial might grew, and so did its global influence. Central to the Industrial Revolution was the exploitation of Britain's vast coal reserves. Coal became the lifeblood of the new industries, powering steam engines and factories. The landscape of Britain was forever altered as mine shafts pierced the earth. Steam engines fueled by coal became ubiquitous in factories, mines, and mills. This dependence on coal drove industrial growth, but also had its downsides. Coal mining was dangerous, and the air in industrial cities became thick with coal smoke. Despite these drawbacks, coal remained the engine of the Industrial Revolution, propelling Britain to the forefront of the world stage. From cottages to factories, the rise of industrial towns. The Industrial Revolution triggered a massive shift in population from rural areas to urban centres. Factories hungry for workers sprang up in towns and cities, drawing people from the countryside with the promise of employment. This mass migration from rural to urban areas, unprecedented in human history, led to the rapid growth of industrial towns and cities, transforming the social and physical landscape of Britain. Manchester, once a modest market town, became a symbol of this new industrial age. Known as Cottonopolis, Manchester's textile mills drew workers from across the country, its population exploding as it became a centre for textile production. Other towns and cities like Birmingham, Sheffield, and Leeds experienced similar growth, each specialising in different industries from iron and steel production to coal mining and shipbuilding. This rapid urbanisation brought with it a host of challenges. Housing shortages were rampant, leading to the construction of overcrowded and often unsanitary slums. Sanitation systems struggled to keep pace with the growing population, and diseases like cholera spread rapidly through the cramped and unsanitary living conditions. The social fabric of Britain was also undergoing a profound transformation. The traditional rhythms of rural life were disrupted as people adapted to the demands of factory work. The factory system, with its long hours, harsh conditions, and rigid discipline, stood in stark contrast to the more independent and self-directed nature of agricultural work. A new class consciousness began to emerge as workers, bound together by their shared experiences in the factories, began to organize and demand better working conditions. The iron horse transforming transportation. The Industrial Revolution not only transformed how goods were produced, but also revolutionized how they were transported. The invention of the steam locomotive and the subsequent development of the railway network had a profound impact on Britain, shrinking distances, facilitating trade, and further accelerating industrial growth. The railway mania that gripped Britain in the early 19th century saw the rapid construction of railway lines crisscrossing the country. George Stephenson's Rocket, a pioneering steam locomotive, captured the public imagination and ushered in an era of high-speed travel. The railway network became the circulatory system of the Industrial Revolution, transporting raw materials to factories, finished goods to markets, and people to new opportunities. The impact of the railways extended far beyond the realm of transportation. They spurred the growth of new industries like iron and steel production for rails and locomotives, and coal mining to fuel the steam engines. They created new jobs, not just in railway construction and operation, but also in related industries like engineering, manufacturing, and tourism. The railways also had a profound social impact, breaking down barriers between regions, facilitating the movement of people and ideas, and fostering a sense of national unity. They made it easier for people to visit distant relatives, explore new places, and experience the cultural diversity of Britain. The railways, once a symbol of industrial might, had become an integral part of British life. The social fabric unraveling and reweaving, the Industrial Revolution, while ushering in an era of unprecedented economic growth, also led to significant social upheaval. The rapid pace of change, the growth of cities, and the rise of the factory system created new social problems and exacerbated existing ones. The gap between rich and poor widened, and working-class families struggled to survive in the face of low wages, long hours, and dangerous working conditions. Child labour, a common practice in pre-industrial Britain, became even more widespread during the Industrial Revolution. Children, some as young as 5 or 6, worked long hours in factories, mines and mills, their small size and nimble fingers making them particularly suited for certain tasks. These children were often subjected to harsh treatment and dangerous conditions, their childhoods sacrificed on the altar of industrial progress. The plight of the working class did not go unnoticed. Social reformers, appalled by the conditions in factories and slums, began to agitate for change. They highlighted the plight of child labourers, exposed the dangers of factory work, and demanded government intervention to improve working conditions and alleviate poverty. The government, initially reluctant to interfere with the free market, gradually began to respond to the growing social unrest. Legislation was passed to regulate child labour, improve factory safety, and provide some measure of social welfare. Trade unions, though initially outlawed, gained a foothold and began to fight for better wages, shorter hours, and safer working conditions. The struggle for workers' rights was just beginning, but the seeds of the labour movement had been sown. Section 6, A New World Order Britain as Workshop of the World. By the mid-19th century, Britain had emerged as the world's leading industrial power. Its factories, powered by coal and steam, churned out vast quantities of goods, from textiles and iron to machinery and ships. British goods were in high demand across the globe, and its merchant fleet, the largest in the world, carried British products to every corner of the empire and beyond. This period of economic dominance earned Britain the title of Workshop of the World. Its industrial output surpassed that of any other nation, and its technological innovations were the envy of the world. British engineers and entrepreneurs were in high demand. Their expertise sought after to build factories, railways, and other infrastructure projects across Europe and the Americas. This economic dominance translated into political and military power. The British Empire, already vast, continued to expand during the 19th century, fueled by a belief in British superiority and a desire for raw materials and new markets for its manufactured goods. The Royal Navy, the most powerful in the world, protected British interests at home and abroad, ensuring the safe passage of its merchant ships and projecting British power across the globe. The Industrial Revolution had transformed Britain from an island nation into a global superpower. Its economy, its society, and its place in the world had been irrevocably altered. The consequences of this transformation, both positive and negative, would continue to shape Britain and the world for generations to come. Section 1. The Lure of Distant Shores. Seeds of an Empire. The age of exploration saw European powers venturing into uncharted waters, driven by a thirst for knowledge, wealth, and new trade routes. England, initially a latecomer, quickly emerged as a formidable force, laying the foundation for the largest empire in history. English explorers embarked on perilous voyages, their ships laden with dreams of gold, spices, and new lands. Sir Francis Drake circumnavigated the globe, plundering Spanish treasure ships and claiming territories for the English crown. The establishment of colonies in North America marked a turning point in England's imperial ambitions. The first permanent English settlement at Jamestown in 1607, followed by the arrival of the Pilgrim Fathers aboard the Mayflower in 1620, marked the beginning of a new chapter in English history. The drive for colonial expansion was not without its critics. Voices within England questioned the morality of conquest and the exploitation of native populations. Yet, the allure of empire, with its promise of wealth, power, and national prestige, proved too strong to resist. Section 2. The East India Company. Trade, conquest, and control. No entity played a more pivotal role in the expansion of the British Empire than the East India Company. Established in 1600 with a royal charter, the company evolved into a political and military force, dominating vast swathes of the Indian subcontinent. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 marked a decisive turning point, transforming the company into a de facto ruling power in India. By the mid-19th century, the East India Company's grip on India had weakened. The company's exploitative practices, coupled with its inability to effectively govern the vast and diverse subcontinent, led to widespread resentment and, ultimately, to the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857, a bloody uprising that shook the foundations of British rule. The mutiny, sparked by a seemingly minor issue, the introduction of new rifle cartridges greased with animal fat, which offended both Hindu and Muslim sepoys, quickly spread throughout northern India, fueled by deep-seated grievances against British rule. The rebellion was brutally suppressed, but it marked a turning point in the history of British India. In the aftermath of the mutiny, the British Crown assumed direct control over India, dissolving the East India Company and ushering in an era known as the British Raj. The British government, determined to prevent further uprisings, implemented a series of reforms aimed at consolidating its control, modernizing the administration, and integrating India more closely into the British Empire. The British Raj, though marked by periods of relative peace and stability, was also a time of continued economic exploitation, racial segregation, and the suppression of Indian nationalism. The British, viewing themselves as superior rulers, implemented policies designed to assert their dominance, from imposing English language education to building railways and telegraph lines that facilitated communication and control, but often benefited British interests more than Indian ones. While the British Empire was consolidating its hold over India, a new scramble for territory was unfolding in Africa. Driven by a complex mix of economic, political, and strategic motivations, European powers, including Britain, embarked on a frenzy of colonization, carving up the continent among themselves with little regard for the existing political or ethnic boundaries. Britain's interest in Africa was initially driven by the slave trade. For centuries, British ships had transported millions of Africans across the Atlantic to work on plantations in the Americas, fueling the growth of the transatlantic slave trade and contributing to the horrors of slavery. However, with the abolition of the slave trade in 1807, Britain's focus shifted to other forms of economic exploitation. The discovery of diamonds in South Africa in the 1860s and gold in the 1880s further fueled the scramble for African territories. British companies, backed by the British government, moved in to secure control of these valuable resources, leading to conflicts with indigenous populations and rival European powers. The Boer Wars in South Africa, fought between the British and the descendants of Dutch settlers, exemplified the brutality and ruthlessness that characterized this period of imperial expansion. British colonialism in Africa, while driven by economic motives, was also justified by a belief in the so-called civilizing mission, the idea that Europeans had a duty to bring progress and enlightenment to supposedly backward peoples. This paternalistic and racist ideology served as a convenient rationale for the exploitation of African resources and the subjugation of its people. The British Empire, at its peak, encompassed a quarter of the world's landmass and ruled over millions of subjects across the globe. Its legacy is complex and contested, marked by economic exploitation, political oppression and cultural imposition, but also innovation and infrastructure development. The debate over its economic impact continues, with scholars and activists grappling with its long-term consequences. The British Empire's legacy shapes geopolitics, international relations, and cultural interactions today. The development of Britain's political landscape is a story of power struggles and evolving institutions. From early clashes to the emergence of Parliament, Britain's journey has been marked by change. Central to this is the concept of a constitutional monarchy, limiting the monarch's power. The seeds of Parliament were sown in the medieval period. The Magna Carta in 1215 established that even the king was subject to the law. The Magna Carta represented a challenge to absolute monarchy. The 17th century saw the English Civil War, shifting power to Parliament. The conflict led to the Commonwealth under Oliver Cromwell. This period showed Parliament's growing strength. The Restoration in 1660 did not erase Parliament's gains. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 solidified Parliament's supremacy. The Bill of Rights in 1689 established parliamentary sovereignty and regular elections. The 18th century witnessed a period of profound intellectual and economic ferment, setting the stage for significant political and social reforms. The Enlightenment, a European intellectual movement emphasizing reason, individual liberty, and progress, had a profound impact on British thought, influencing thinkers like John Locke, whose ideas about natural rights and the social contract would resonate across the Atlantic and inspire the American Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, while transforming Britain's economy and society, also created new social problems and exacerbated existing ones. The rapid growth of cities, the rise of the factory system, and the widening gap between rich and poor fueled social unrest and demands for political reform. The Reform Act of 1832, a landmark piece of legislation, expanded the franchise, granting voting rights to a wider segment of the population, though it still excluded women and the working class. The Victorian era, spanning the reign of Queen Victoria from 1837 to 1901, was a time of contradictions. It was an era of unprecedented industrial and imperial expansion, but also one of social inequality, poverty, and hardship for many. The Victorian period saw the rise of mass movements for social change, from trade unions fighting for workers' rights to suffrage organisations demanding votes for women. The Reform Act of 1867 further expanded the franchise, extending voting rights to more working-class men, while the Ballot Act of 1872 introduced the secret ballot, making elections fairer and reducing the influence of intimidation and bribery. These reforms, while incremental, reflected a growing recognition of the need for greater political participation and a more responsive government. The Victorian era was a time of immense change and contradiction. It was an age of empire and industrial might, but also of poverty and social reform. Queen Victoria symbolised this era, her reign witnessing triumphs and challenges. The British Empire reached its zenith, spanning the globe. The Industrial Revolution transformed Britain into the workshop of the world. Cities grew rapidly, drawing people from rural areas. Reformers campaigned for better working conditions and social justice. The dawn of the 20th century brought new challenges. The First World War shattered the illusion of peace and progress. Britain, drawn into the conflict, faced a brutal and costly war. The war pitted the Allied powers against the Central Powers. Fought on multiple fronts, it resulted in millions of casualties. Britain played a pivotal role in the Allied victory. The Royal Navy imposed a blockade on Germany. British soldiers fought with courage on the Western Front. New technologies transformed warfare. The war had a profound impact on British society. The war effort required unprecedented government intervention. Women played a vital role in factories and shipyards. The war challenged traditional social hierarchies. The aftermath left Britain economically exhausted. The war had shattered the old order. New ideologies posed challenges to the existing world order. Britain emerged from the conflict a changed nation. Its people grappled with the costs of a war that delivered suffering and disillusionment. Britain's cultural contributions are vast and varied. From Shakespeare to Newton, Britain has shaped ideas, art and innovation. Its literary tradition stands as a testament to storytelling and the human spirit. Shakespeare, the greatest writer in English, left an indelible mark. His plays explore universal themes of love, loss and ambition. Shakespeare's works have transcended time, inspiring countless artists. Jane Austen's novels captivate readers with themes of love and social class. Charles Dickens captured the imagination of a nation with his vivid portrayals. British art has evolved over centuries, reflecting changing landscapes and artistic movements. From Holbein's portraits to Turner's romantic landscapes, British artists captured their time and place. The 18th century saw Gainsborough and Reynolds immortalize the aristocracy. Their portraits captured social standing and fashion. These works offer a glimpse into 18th century Britain's opulence and social hierarchies. The Romantic movement profoundly impacted British art. Turner and Constable captured the sublime beauty of nature. Turner's dramatic seascapes conveyed awe and wonder. The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood rebelled against artistic conventions. Rossetti, Millet and Hunt created vivid, detailed, symbolic works. The Pre-Raphaelites left a lasting impact on British art. Section 3. The Sound of Innovation, Music Through the Ages. British music has a rich history, from William Byrd's choral works to the Beatles' pop revolution. The Baroque period saw Henry Purcell's masterpieces, while Romanticism brought us Elgar and Holst. The 20th century introduced new technologies and popular music, with Britain leading the rock and roll revolution. Bands like the Beatles, Rolling Stones and The Who revolutionized music. Their influence still felt today. Section 4. Scientific advancements, shaping the modern world. Britain has long been at the forefront of scientific discovery and technological innovation. From Newton's laws of motion to Turing's work in computer science, British ingenuity has transformed the world. Newton revolutionized our understanding of the universe. His work laid the foundation for classical mechanics. Newton's ideas transformed physics and other fields. The Industrial Revolution spurred further scientific advances. James Watt's steam engine improvements ushered in steam power. Faraday's discoveries in electromagnetism laid the foundation for electric motors. The 20th century saw rapid scientific progress. Fleming's discovery of penicillin revolutionized medicine. Turing played a pivotal role in breaking the Enigma code. His work laid the groundwork for modern computers. A cultural tapestry weaving together tradition and innovation. Britain's cultural legacy is a vibrant tapestry woven from tradition, innovation, and diverse influences. From ancient Celtic roots to a modern multicultural society, Britain adapts ideas and artistic expressions. British universities, among the oldest, attract global scholars and students. This tradition fosters critical thinking, innovation, and knowledge. Britain's cultural landscape evolves with diverse contributions and new ideas. From London's arts scene to music festivals, Britain remains a cultural hub. Museums, theatres and galleries showcase heritage and contemporary works. British creativity embraces eccentricity, individuality and humour. From Monty Python to Harry Potter, British creativity defies categorization. Britain's cultural legacy celebrates creativity, curiosity and diversity. Its global impact on ideas, art and innovation is undeniable. Britain today stands at a crossroads, its global standing in flux, its identity in the midst of redefinition. No longer the sprawling empire upon which the sun never set, modern Britain grapples with the legacy of its past while navigating the complexities of a rapidly changing world. The ghosts of empire linger, their presence felt in the ongoing debates about colonialism, immigration, and Britain's place in a globalized society. The decision to leave the European Union in 2016, a seismic event in British politics, has further complicated its relationship with the world. Brexit, as it is known, has divided public opinion, strained political alliances, and raised questions about Britain's future economic and political direction. The full impact of this decision is yet to be fully understood, but it has undoubtedly shaken the foundations of Britain's post-war identity as a European power. Despite the challenges, Britain remains a significant player on the world stage. Its cultural influence continues to resonate globally, its music, film, fashion and literature shaping tastes and trends far beyond its borders. The English language, a legacy of empire, has become a global lingua franca, facilitating communication and commerce in a world increasingly interconnected by technology and trade. Britain's soft power extends beyond the realm of culture. Its diplomatic corps, renowned for its experience and expertise, continues to play an active role in international affairs, promoting democracy, human rights and global security. Its armed forces, though reduced in size since the height of empire, remain a formidable force, engaged in peacekeeping operations and military alliances around the world. Britain faces a multitude of challenges in the 21st century, both domestic and international. Economic inequalities, social divisions and political polarization have tested the fabric of British society. The global financial crisis of 2008 had a profound impact on the British economy, leading to austerity measures and a period of economic uncertainty. The COVID-19 pandemic further exposed the vulnerabilities of the globalized world, testing the resilience of Britain's healthcare system and its social safety net. The rise of nationalism, populism and anti-globalization sentiment poses a challenge to the liberal international order that Britain has long championed. The war in Ukraine, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace in Europe, has tested the resolve of the Western alliance and raised questions about Britain's role in a world increasingly defined by geopolitical competition and conflict. Despite these challenges, Britain possesses significant strengths and opportunities. Its economy, though facing headwinds, remains one of the largest and most diversified in the world. Its workforce is highly skilled, its universities are world-renowned, and its entrepreneurial spirit continues to drive innovation and creativity. Britain's greatest asset, however, may be its people. The British are known for their resilience, their pragmatism, and their ability to adapt to change. Their history is replete with examples of overcoming adversity, from the devastation of World War II to the economic challenges of the late 20th century. their capacity for self-reflection, their willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about their past, and their commitment to building a fairer and more just society will be essential for navigating the complexities of the 21st century. Britain's journey from a small island to a global power is a testament to human history. It is a story of ambition, innovation and resilience, but also one of conquest and exploitation. This legacy continues to shape Britain's identity and its place in the world. The British Empire may be gone, but its impact is undeniable. The legacies of colonialism are still felt across the globe. Modern Britain is a multicultural society, its population drawn from every corner of the former empire. This diversity enriches its cultural fabric but also presents challenges. Britain's commitment to democracy, human rights and the rule of law will guide its future. Its enduring legacy of innovation and resilience suggests Britain will continue to play a significant role on the world stage.